Hi, this is a quick video demonstrating how to configure the ZTE MC889, the outdoor router part of the bundle with the T3000. So this is just for the router. So we've inserted our SIM card, we've connected, and the IP address of the router is 192.168.254.1. So we're going to log in. The password is on the back of the router. And also you get a couple of labels inside the box with the password so you can store those. So we need to put our current password in, and then we'll put our new password. Okay, so that's the first thing, is to change the password. And there you can just get the quick guides, but the router does come with those guides. So when you take it out of the box, the router is set to bridge mode, and that's just basically going to send all the data through to the T3000 box. So plug and play, you can just put the SIM card in, usually if it's a standard network SIM, run your Ethernet cable down into the T3000. But you may want to just use this as a standalone router, for example, but we're just going to look at some of the features here. So we can see at the moment the router is set to bridge mode. We can see our IP address and stuff here. So for the purposes of this, we're just going to change it to router mode. And that's going to restart it. I'll pause the video just so you don't have to wait while it restarts. Okay, so we can log back into the router now. And now if we go into advanced settings, we can see most of the features here now. So the device LED, you can permanently turn the device LED off. So when this router's outside, it won't be showing any lights. However, it does automatically go off after 15 minutes. So the router itself, we can see the IP address details here. Our firewall settings, so we can go port forwarding. Now again, port forwarding is only going to work if you've got remote access to the router. Normally that involves a fixed IP SIM card, but I'm just going to show you here. So you can just enable port forwarding. And then you can put your IP address, port range, etc. in there. System security. This will, again, if you've got remote access to the router using a fixed IP SIM card, for example, you can enable remote access to the router. Here is where you can do your update. You can either do an online update if there's firmware available, or if you downloaded the firmware, you can update it there. And here we've got to reset the router, factory reset it, restart it. You can just restart it every day, for example. So we can see here, we can restart the router every day, every 1 day at 2 o'clock in the morning. And if you want to configure the APN, if it hasn't automatically connected, or you've got a fixed IP SIM card in there, for example, and need to put the APN in, you just come in here. We can see our connection mode. Mostly that'll just be left at automatic. We can see our network selection here. So again, we can change that to 4G only, for example. And here is where we input our APN. So all we do is we can select a manual APN. We'll put one in for 3 mobile, 3 internet, and if you've got one, you can select PAP or CHAP and put your username and password in there. Again, probably more relevant if you've got a specialist SIM card like a fixed IP SIM card. We can apply that and then it will connect using that APN. So there isn't a whole lot to configure in the router, and most of it you're probably going to leave alone unless you're using something like a fixed IP SIM card and need remote access into your home router for things like CCTV. You can also see how much data you've used. So you can put in here your statistics if you just leave that and apply. So after 1 hour, it's going to remind you that you've been using that much data. And you can also use SMS in here as well. That's it, a pretty simple unit, but effective. We've actually got this unit indoors at the moment. And we're just on 4G here. We haven't got 5G on the 3 mobile network at this location. But for 4G with the router indoors, you can see we've got a pretty good speed. And when we take this outdoors, we're getting about 120 down and about 40 up. So there is a big difference between having this router indoors and outdoors, where it's supposed to be where it can get the best service. In fact, what I've just done is I've just taken the router outside, powered it up again, and we can kind of show you the difference. Just while we're waiting for that to connect, one thing I forgot to show you, if you go to advanced settings, others, and network information, you can see here your signal strength, you can see your connected bands. So we're on band 1 and band 3. This is aggregated the 2 bands together. If you had a 5G connection, you'd see it there, and also you'd see your cell ID. So you've got a little diagnosis here as well. You can run the diagnosis. And network tools. So for example, if your router's got a connection to the internet, but your PCs and laptops and iPads can't access the internet, this is a handy little tool. So for example, you can ping so you can see that the router can ping out to the internet, which means it's got an internet connection, in which case it would then be something you need to look at on your LAN side. Make sure those devices have the router as their default gateway, for example. So we can see here now under network information that we're connected. So if we go back into the speed test and go again, so we can see that this was the previous IP address if we refresh this actually. So we're getting a similar download speed at the moment. But you can see the upload speed is a lot better with the router installed outdoors. So you can see here, there's the new IP address of our new connection. And that's the thing with speed tests, you have to do like 5 in a row and just take the average at that time of day. So based on the fact this is actually a 4G connection, that's pretty good. Upload speed. So there's that 50 meg upload I was talking about at the start of the video. And you can see the difference just within a few minutes, the differences in those speed tests. So the third speed test was like 77. Oh, we're coming back to 77 now. So again, with speed tests, what you need to do is just make sure that you maybe do it 3 times a day. Do 10 speed tests at 6 o'clock in the morning. Do 10 at lunchtime, because you can see here this is now half the speed. So you do 10, you make a note, you get your average, and then you've got your average speeds. Then what I would say is do one at 4 o'clock when that tends to be a really busy time for cell towers, and your speed might drop down to 50 and 10. And then do one at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then you're going to see the difference that your cell tower has based on its usage at different times of the day, rather than just assuming it's an issue with the router. It's the same hardware, different times of day, same cell tower, but completely different speeds. And again, you need to make sure that you get that average. So it's looking like our average is probably going to be about 75 down on 4G and about 25 up. Oh, that's going to knock our average down. But there you go. That's a perfect example. 3 minutes ago, that was 50. Now it's 9. So anyway, that's the ZTE, a very, very good router. It's about the size of your hand, lightweight, robust, designed to go outdoors, so you don't need that extra antenna. Overall, a very good and easy to use router. We'll be doing a separate video for the T3000, which is the indoor Wi-Fi 6 hotspot that goes with the MC889 router.